What's up, everyone? Welcome to today's video. Welcome to the VGFightSchool channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. So recently we had a conversation surrounding Gotham Knights. We talked a little bit about DLC possibilities. Well, here's the really crazy thing. Just, about a few days ago, there was an interview that was actually done on Maldito's Nerds. This is, I think, the name of the channel. And the host was, in a conversation with Jeff Eleanor and Wilson Mew surrounding aspects of the game. It was a very interesting interview. In fact, I think it's one of the longer interviews that you would probably find that's outside of one of the bigger networks, about 17 minutes and 39 seconds. So there's a lot of information there, a lot of things that they've said before. But I think one really peculiar aspect of the interview really caught my attention. It was the last two questions of the interview. And one really cool thing was the interviewer, he could not help himself, but he asked about a question, that talked about possibilities of, the way games are in today's day and age, and how, live service games, demand more DLC and all of the above. The developers did clarify, that the game is not necessarily, live service, but at least you're going to be in a position where, they have more to reveal, and they, something in the future. So I guess let me see if we can actually get some of this particular conversation for you guys here so that you can probably hear it for yourself, because I think it's actually pretty cool that the developers actually made, some kind of a response. It's not really loud, but you should be able to hear the conversation play out.
To add content in the future is a closed story when you get to an end.
We're definitely not a game as a service, but we will be communicating more in the future about some exciting stuff that we have coming.
Okay.
And I mean, if you were listening, you hear that the developers are basically talking about, being excited to share more things to come. So pardon the audio. For some reason, I think the interview had like an audio change or imbalance, in a sense where his audio was kind of higher, their audio was kind of lower. But it's very interesting to see that this game, having come from the shadows of not having a strong marketing before its unveiling in 2020, then having a big delay, is now in a position where we're even talking about DLC and having the developers actually tease potentially that product coming after the end of the game has been released, in a sense. Now, one really cool thing about DLC, one of my associates who pretty much was able to reach out to me on Discord a few years ago, he's a developer at Ubisoft. One thing he told me about DLC is, in terms of DLC or expansions, development companies will plan those out about a year before the game's release. So as the game is reaching its final stage and final development cycle, DLC content is already being planned and also eventually gets into development phase before the game is released in most cases. Now, I don't know what the, development capacity of Warner Brothers Montreal is like. I don't know if they maybe out of their, 200 and something, I think that's how many employees work there, they would have put together a team that's already developing the groundwork and the framework of DLC. And then after Gotham Knights comes out, in a few months after that, we then see DLC come into the picture. It's a really cool aspect because, DLC could take any turn. It could take a prequel, because that's a very huge demand for a lot of people, where we get to see Batman in the game. And another really interesting thing is, it's not going to be the first time that we've seen a prequel DLC in the Arkham games. A Matter of Family was a prequel DLC for Arkham Knights that was developed by Warner Brothers Montreal for Rocksteady. And it was actually really cool. I really enjoyed the way that DLC kind of ended. You could see at the end, if you've not played Arkham Knight by now, sorry, this is a channel that favors Batman content, so I'm just going to go ahead and talk about this, is where Jim Gordon pretty much, reaches out to Barbara. She's putting on, she's got a cowl on, she's got the Batgirl costume on, and he says to her, "Are you okay?" And, she says yes, or something like along the lines of that. And, you could just tell that there seemed to have been some kind of a care that he had for this character, but didn't necessarily, in a sense, know her identity, or maybe knew her identity, but was just kind of like, playing it off a little bit. So I thought that was actually a little ominous. So we do have a plethora of directions that could be gone in terms of bringing DLC content down the road. I'm sure this is exciting for a lot of people, and I wanted to share this little tidbit with you guys. I recommend that you check the interview out. I'll try my best to maybe put up a link here in post, just so you guys can see the interview for yourselves and kind of make what you will of it. This is one of the biggest things things that did catch my ear in regard to what it is that they were talking about in that interview. But I'll talk to you guys in another video. I really appreciate your time and audience and all of the participation. You guys have been putting in so much interesting opinions on this channel and on the content. And it really does make for a very, very healthy community in terms of how we look forward to this game. So talk to you guys very soon. Peace out.